Hello and welcome. I am Lionmight. I'm a professional composer, music producer, and Genshin enjoyer. And oh boy, Imaginarium Theater just reset. After clearing Visionary mode for the first time ever last cycle, I was so ready to dive back in. I mean, look at this roster. C6 Mawika, C6 Furina, C6 Skirk, busted supports like C2 Escoffier, and even C0 Sitlali who buffs Mawika like crazy. And don't forget guest members like Kinich and Emily, who I also have at C2. Hydro, Pyro, Cryo? Last season was my dream lineup. Visionary mode? Crushed it without breaking a sweat. But what do you mean? I can't use them this time? This cycle flipped the script completely. My god tier roster was locked out. No Pyro meant no Mawika, no Hydro meant no Furina, and even my C6 Skirk couldn't run her premium cryo team. Normally, Mawika would solo half these fights. C6 Furina would double as a buffer and hyper carry herself. Kinich and Emily, both C2, would have been massive damage dealers. But now, all of them were benched. With this cycle limited to Animo, Cryo, and Electro, I was left with mostly mid-tier DPS, scrambling to piece together random teams. Even borrowing my friend Izzy's C4 Novelette, my one allowed friend support for the entire mode, and committing him right away just to handle the Jade Plume Terror Shroom, the run still left much to be desired. If an overpowered guest carry couldn't make things smooth, I knew this Visionary cycle was going to be difficult. And here's the thing, I love the whale fantasy. I built these characters to feel unstoppable, and I enjoy every second of overwhelming bosses with sheer firepower. But this time, that option just didn't exist.
Be sanctified.
At one point, I broke my own rule. I unleashed my C6 Skirk early to brute force a boss fight. Her damage was great. She shredded it with Shenhe and Charlotte backing her up. And Mizuki, I guess. But it wasn't a planned power move. It was desperation. Using Skirk this early meant sacrificing her for later fights. I had no other choice at the time, and I knew it might come back to haunt me.
Turn that frown up. Hold that pose. Breaking news. By ordinance divine. Power.
By Act 8, Magu Kenki became my wall. Normally, I'd throw Mawika at him, melt his HP, and be done in seconds. Instead, I cycled through every makeshift comp I had. Dozens of failed attempts later, my hands ached, my fingers went numb. For the first time since I became a whale player, I thought, maybe I can't do this. Maybe I should settle for 9 Stellas and call it a day. That's what I needed for the full rewards anyway. But something in me refused to stop. I knew there had to be a way, I just hadn't found it yet. And then it hit me. All this time, I'd been ignoring the one mechanic designed for these kinds of restrictions, the Imaginarium Theater reaction buffs. Normally, I don't even think about these. My God Squad, Mawika, Furina, Skirk, Kinich, Emily, brute forces everything. Reaction buffs are just background noise. But stripped of my godly characters, knowledge became my weapon. I dumped every Fantasia upgrade into reactions, built random teams no one would dare run, Clorand with Yaimiko, Yansan, and Escoffier. But suddenly, everything changed. What used to be weak superconduct reactions suddenly turned into more than decent damage. And to my huge relief, my newly built C3R1 Yaimiko, who I had just pre-farmed and finished building right before the reset, absolutely carried this fight once those buffs were stacked. Magu Kenki, the wall that nearly broke me, finally went down.
Show them right here.
But even with the breakthrough, the final boss wasn't a simple victory. Solitary Suwani swapped between Hydro and Anemo. Normally, Mawika would obliterate it in seconds. But this time, my C6 Skirk felt as weak as a mid-tier Clorand without her premium team. Every mistake punished me. In the end, it wasn't elegant strategy that saved me. It was my last chance brute forcing the fight with C6 Skirk. Even with a less than ideal team of Xingqiu, Shenhe, and Yansan, and Suwani's resistance to Cryo forcing me to wait for its Anemo phase, Skirk's raw power carried me through. After a grueling total of 1 hour and 40 minutes, exhausted but victorious, I claimed all 10 Stellas. Visionary cleared.
Let's
After a break, I ran it again from scratch. I wanted to see if I was right. I wanted to prove something to myself. With everything I learned, the same visionary clear that once dragged on for 1 hour and 40 minutes only took 30 minutes. This cycle humbled me. It showed me that even as a whale with a god-tier roster, Mawika, Furina, Kinich, Emily, and Skirk, raw power isn't always available. And to tell you the truth, it delighted me that even after being a 1.0 player and thinking I knew this game inside and out, Genshin can still surprise me. I like that. And when brute force is not available, it's knowledge that carries you to victory. This win felt amazing, not because it was harder than my usual clears, but because it was a different kind of victory. I still love the thrill of overwhelming bosses with raw whale power, but proving I could adapt and win without it, that is just as satisfying in its own way. If you watch until this part of the video, you are a total champ. Thank you so much for your company. What are some of the toughest battles you faced in Genshin Impact, and how did you resolve it? Let us know in the comments. And if you like video game music, such as discussions and performances of it, I have a main channel called Lionmight where I do just that. But if you just like to stick to my gaming content, you're already watching it here at Lionmight Gaming. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!